everyone, Jennifer here, back with another edition of Movie Talk. And this week's movie has a very special significance for today because it is a movie whose storyline is connected with the holiday that is being celebrated today, which is Passover. And that story is The Prince of Egypt. The epic journey of Moses from slave to prince to deliverer has been told and retold for centuries, inspiring generation after generation. Now, DreamWorks Animation brings this timeless story to the screen for audiences of every generation to enjoy. Okay, highlights of the movie. This movie was made back in 1998 and is an animated musical drama and an adaptation of the book of Exodus in the Bible, and is also an adaptation of the story of Moses, particularly the story of when he lived as a prince in Egypt and then later returned to Egypt as the one chosen by God to free the Hebrews from slavery during the reign of Rameses II. Okay, things I liked about this movie. I really liked everything about this movie. The story of Moses, in particular this version, and the story of Moses and the Ten Commandments is one of my favorite Bible stories. That, along with the story of Noah's Ark, the Nativity story, David and Goliath. This is a biblical story. This is a religious story. It is a Christian story, and I believe it's also a Jewish story, as this takes place before Christianity was set up, so it is tied in with the Jewish faith, since Passover takes place during this movie, or, the story of Passover takes place during this movie. So I am 99.9% certain that this is a story that is told to within the Jewish culture as well. And I absolutely love, like I stated before, this is one of my favorite Bible stories, one of my favorite religious stories. So it gets some bonus points for that. I love the animation. This was created by DreamWorks, and DreamWorks has some of the most amazing animation I have ever seen. I mean, it is either second only to Disney, or it is right up there with Disney, because it is pretty darn good animation. I mean, it is amazing. There have been DreamWorks movies that I've watched with my mom that she thought were Disney movies, because the animation is just so great. And just, the details that they go into in the movie is just very good. Now, is this completely based on the story of Moses, the actual biblical story of Moses? I think there are some differences. I'd have to actually look up the biblical story and compare it to the movie to see, to let you know how much of a comparison there are between the two of them. I believe the important stuff is true. The fact that Moses was born a Hebrew, he was taken in by the Pharaoh's family and raised as a prince of Egypt. The firstborn children or the young infant sons of the Hebrew slaves were put to death. But Moses was spared by his mom, who had the foresight to send him somewhere safe. I don't think she was expecting the palace, but that turned out to be the safest place for him. And he did, and the burning bush that is God speaking to Moses many years later after he flees Egypt, and him returning to Egypt to set this the Hebrews free, and then the 10 plagues of Egypt, and how the final plague, the Hebrews were spared because of the steps they took to ensure that the angel of death passed over their homes, which is where the celebration of Passover comes from. And then, what led up to in the ending of the movie with the Red Sea and everything. That is all true. That is all consistent with the story of Moses. Many of the other details probably aren't, or probably written into the script to make the movie a little more entertaining, but that's okay, because movies are supposed to be entertaining unless they're documentaries. And this was not a documentary. It was meant to be an entertaining movie. So I'm okay with some poetic license being taken, because they did the important stuff was in there. The very important stuff of the story of Moses was in there. It is a musical, so there was a lot of singing in there. I loved the music. One of my favorite songs was, I loved Heaven's Eyes, which shows Moses kind of accepting his new life as a shepherd after he leaves Egypt, and I love that song. I think it's so pretty. Deliver Us is really good. I love Deliver Us. There's actually a really cute, on YouTube, a really cute, I wouldn't say cute, but it's a really good video with Deliver Us that is set to scenes from Star Wars Rebels, which is really good. It's probably one of my favorite videos on YouTube, and I do have quite a few, but that is definitely one of my favorite videos. Another one I like, another song I like, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called Let My People Go, and it's basically Ramses and Moses talking to each other while the plagues are going on. And it's really, really good. I love that song, because you see the plagues. You see, you see 9 of the 10 plagues, or the first plagues. You don't see the last one because they lead up to the last one. I believe it was 10 plagues, but I could be wrong. I don't study the Bible, so I don't know how many plagues there were on Egypt. If any of you do know, you are more than welcome to let me know in the comment section. But Let My People Go is another one of my favorite songs from this movie, just because of the content of the song. It's very, very good. And again, there is a very good video on YouTube set to that song, again, to Star Wars Rebels, which is very, very good. Again, it's another of my favorite videos on YouTube. It's very well done, actually. I really do like it, because they have the contrast, like the song itself in the movie is Ramses and Moses kind of talking to each other. The person who made that video actually has, for those of you who watched Rebels, have the Inquisitor and Kanan kind of assuming the roles, which is very good. Not to get off topic, but it kind of ties into this a little bit just because of the song. But my absolute favorite song in this whole movie is When You Believe. And it's the song that the Hebrews are singing as they're leaving Egypt. And it's just really, it's a very pretty song, and I absolutely love it. Another thing I absolutely loved about this movie is that the Pharaoh that Moses has to basically negotiate the release of the slaves, the Hebrew slaves, with, is Ramses. I said he was Ramses before, but it's actually Ramses II. At least scholars believe it's Ramses II. And Ramses II is probably one of my favorite pharaohs in ancient Egypt. I mean, he did a lot for Egypt. He accomplished a lot in his rule as Pharaoh for Egypt. And he was, for all the pharaohs that followed, basically the yardstick that they were measured by. It's not surprising. I mean, he's also referred to as Ramses the Great. But it's not surprising that he accomplished so much, because a little bit of a history lesson here. He lived to be like 90-something years old, which I know in this day and age that's like nothing, but considering when he lived, the life expectancy was very, very short. That's an accomplishment right there. I mean, he outlived children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, possibly great-great-grandchildren, and even great-great-great-grandchildren. I mean, he lived a long time. Outlived many members of his family. And so, I mean, just a little bit of history lesson. He did earn the name Ramses the Great just based on the fact that he had a long rule, and he, just what he accomplished for Egypt during that time period. So the fact that they make it a point to emphasize the Ramsey in this movie as Ramses the Great or Ramses II, which whatever you want to call him, because he was referred to as both, who happens to be one of my favorite pharaohs from ancient Egypt, earned it a little more bonus points for that. So yeah, there was just a lot about this movie I absolutely loved, and I hope I didn't give away too much spoilers on what happens in the movie, although anybody who knows the story of Moses and the story of the 10 plagues of Egypt kind of knows what happens. Okay, this movie had a great cast of actors. Now, I'm really only focusing on Moses, his wife, Ramses II, Moses' sister, his brother, and then, of course, Ramses' father, Seti. But know that there were quite a few other characters in the movie. There were the two court magicians, or high priests, as they were also referred to as, Ramses' mother, Moses' father-in-law, and Ramses' son. But they're not in the movie quite as much. Well, okay, Hotep and Hoi are, but they're not major characters. They're major characters, but they're not major characters. They're important to the plot of the movie as when Moses returns to Egypt and the plagues start. I don't want to say Moses actually enacted the plagues on Egypt. He was just more the messenger. They did their best to debunk everything because they were the high priests of Egypt. They communed with Egypt's gods and whatnot. But really, once Let My People Go starts, we don't see much of them after that song. would also like to mention that the voice actor who portrayed Moses also had an uncredited role as the voice of God when Moses was in the desert with the burning bush. Okay, for more information about Moses, Ramses II, and Seti I, feel free to consult Wikipedia or your local library. Okay, quick reminder on my comment rules. Okay, feel free to check out my other movie talk videos. my Movie Talk Special Edition videos. And my other videos. Hey, please feel free to leave your comments and questions in the comments section. I do love to read those. Feel free to follow me on, also feel free to follow me on Wattpad, Tumblr, Instagram, and Twitter. I do have my name for those 4 sites right there on the screen, as well as the pictures I use for the icons. Please note that all pictures seen within this video do belong to their respective artists. I own absolutely nothing. And the links for the 4 sites I mentioned will be in the description section if that makes it any easier for you guys to find me. Okay. YouTube subscribers. Any of my videos that cannot be found on YouTube are on my Facebook page. I will have the link in the description section. Facebook friends. Basically the same thing. Any of my videos that cannot be found on Facebook are on my YouTube channel. The link will be in the description section. And to anyone who's interested, you can feel free to join my Facebook group, Fanfic Corner. The link for that will be in the description section as well. Okay, please like and share if you're watching on Facebook, or like and subscribe if you haven't already, if you're watching on YouTube. And as always, thank you for watching, and have a very nice day.